Okay, good evening, everyone. Great to see you all here, waving. That's good. Hi, hi. Welcome. And this is Butts and Chairs, the annual fun, fantastic little over an hour that we get to spend to encourage you for the new year. So this year, I decided to say it's not a webinar or a seminar, it's just a bit of encouragement for writers. And so I thank you all for being here. You're hearing maybe a couple beeps. That's people that are entering the room, so that will end soon enough. And again, welcome to all of you that are here, and those of you that are watching this, perhaps not in real time, welcome also. And I hope there's a bit of encouragement, as I say, inspiration, something that you hadn't thought about before, maybe, or something that moves you with your writing for this year. So, again, welcome to everyone. This is year 2026, the year of the fire horse in Chinese philosophy and such. So we'll talk about this just a little bit later on. I want to say thanks to Luella and Ken and the board of Wisconsin Writers Association and all of our community for the wonderful support. Most of you know who I am. I won't go through all the boring stuff. It's just I'm currently part of the board and the vice president of WWA. I ran the UW-Madison Writers Institute for over a decade. Love that. Many of you are from that time, and it's wonderful to continue to work with you and to continue to work with the new members, both of the board and of the community that have joined in the last 3, 4, 5 years. So welcome. I continue to work with many writers, and many of you, you know me. I see your names. Hello. Yes, that's great. I appreciate, and it's just wonderful. I love being part of this community. I'm going to give a talk here, a couple of writing prompts. There will be a Q&A session at the end. You can post your questions in the chat, which is at the bottom of, or at the top, I guess it's at the bottom, the chat. If you want to post your questions, and Ken will let me know if there's something urgent or something that I'm not addressing, but we can certainly and will certainly have enough time towards the end of this session. There's a whole couple of minutes carved out for a Q&A and a discussion because I want to hear from all of you also. So again, welcome. And there's a few of these. Some of you have been here every year or off and on, and thank you again. That's wonderful. Thank you for your support. And I just want to repeat, there is no great conspiracy against you, against any of us as writers. The publishing world is vast, lucrative, and in acquiring mode. It is. All genres, all formats are welcome. I don't know if you've determined by now, but this is going to be a very positive, uplifting. We're going to talk about the difference between Eeyore and Piglet in a minute. But I'm going to deal with the happy, yes, everything's working and great, and it's just wonderful. So that said, I want to bring something to everyone's attention. I don't know if you know, but not only are we dealing with the competition among humans, but we also have something called AI that has been introduced to the writing community. Whether you use it or not, that's not the discussion. Whether we should or not, that's not the discussion. I just want to make a statement here with the next slide to help us understand and to be aware of why I'm saying that all genres, all formats are welcome, and why this is a lucrative, not only the publishing world, but media world is lucrative and open to your ideas. And I hope that this will be a bit of inspiration. So just bear with me here. I'm going to read this, but it is important. This is from Seth Godin. He is considered a marketing guru. He does a daily blog. This one, it was literally from this morning. Mad Magazine Auto Stereogram and Cute Core, in which he admitted he's a gentleman in his 50s, maybe 60s, and he said he had never heard of that word, auto stereogram and cute core. And that led him to write about this, which is older generations have always been left out of the code words and trends of the makers of pop culture. But the gatekeepers and lack of shelf space kept pop culture popular. There were only 40 songs on the top 40, only a few hit network shows. Many of you remember this. Pre-cable, pre-internet. Three things have changed, and this is to our advantage as writers. The long tail means there's room for more, meaning something can be produced and then reviewed and seen over and over and over because it sits on the internet, and someone can discover it and bring it to other eyes, other people. So that's what he means by long tail. Something in the past, if you had a top 40 song, it would only be popular for about 3 months because that was it. You then either bought that on an album or a 45, that dates me, but or you watched a network show during the season when it started. Remember the big, all the new shows started in September, and that was it. You would catch them maybe in reruns, but that was it. Well, that's not the case now. The long tail says there's room for more. Always. As many as 25% of all Spotify songs have only been listened to a few times. The average video on YouTube is seen once a day. So AI generation of art, music, video, and writing means that the pace of creation is going to grow exponentially. Mimetic identities, genres, and code words are easier for AI to begin with than complex images. And so new genres multiply, get exaggerated, evolve, and morph into new genres. It's genetic material run amok. So think about that. Something you could create can be picked up by someone else and then morphed and changed into something else. So the end result is that pop is not popular anymore, and it may never be again. The center was a moment in time, but the edges are now everywhere, and we should plan accordingly. So I take this as a positive moment, and that sometimes we think, oh, no one's going to read our stuff, no one's going to be interested, that sort of thing. You never know. I mean, if 25% of all Spotify songs have only been listened to a few times, they're up there. It's up to the creator to let people know that that song is there. It's up to the creator of the video on YouTube to let them know that it's there. And it's up to us as writers to let our readers know that our books are on Kindle or on the internet in some way through Amazon, through whatever means, whatever platform that you have. So I'm using this as encouragement in that there's no lack of places where you can have your work exposed. And whether you use AI or not, that's another discussion. This is just a statement on how media works currently, and that this long tail means you might post something now, but in 6 months or a year, somebody else picks it up, and suddenly you have a lot of people following you. That's a wonderful thing, and that can happen. So let's keep that in mind as we continue. Okay. Uh, where was I? There I was. Okay, so here we are. Let's hold that thought from that. We'll come back. January resolutions. Here we are, January 15th. Last year we did this on the 26th, I think, or sometime it was like 2 weeks from now. So here we are, mid-January. We join gyms, we hire nutritionists, we stop smoking, we start a new routine, cut down on sugar. It includes our writing practice and writing goals, perhaps. and by mid-February or mid-January, February, all fails by the wayside. Why is that? So tonight I want to look at that. So either you can make this statement, I succeeded or I failed at my writing goals for 2025. And then what are our writing goals for 2026 right here? Or just like Discovery writers, formerly pantsers, and you know who you are. Um, the world can be divided between. Perhaps your goals will appear when they appear, and that's okay too. I want to make sure everybody understands you don't have to lock in these goals and that's it. You might be working in this type of arena where your goals are going to change. The statement here is just be aware of what you want to do. Sometimes that helps. That's enough to get you going, to continue to get your butt in your seat or in your chair to keep writing every day. So whatever works for you, every writer is different. So keep that in mind as we continue. Um, all right. Some reasons why people have some issues. Self-doubt, we know writers, at least my work with writers is there's a lot of low self-esteem about writing. We think we are the worst writers in the world. We can't get going. We don't have any interest in the topics that we have in front of us. Or we have so many things we want to write about, we're not sure which one to pay attention to or put some time into. How about this? My writing is really awful. Why should I keep writing? No one cares. I'll never be published. I'll never get my work out into the world. Thoughts like my coming of age story or my memoir about my first trip to Europe has been done, so why even bother? I'm a failure because none of my submissions have been accepted or query letters answered. And then I'm not only a bad writer, I'm also a useless sister or a useless employee or whatever. But you can see where this is going down rabbit holes of really negative thought. But I just have worked with writers so often that I hear this a lot. And I want to say you're not alone if you have these types of thoughts. But I also want to encourage that just because your submissions have not been accepted to journals or magazines, or your query letters aren't answered, or you continue to get rejections, that does not mean you are a bad writer by any means. It means you are working to get your work out there, and every rejection is an opportunity to continue to move forward. And I can't stress that enough to everyone. So when we get to the Q&A, I'd love to hear from some of you about maybe having these types of thoughts. I hope you don't, but I know writers and most of them do. Myself included. I'm not you know, exempt from this. So I want to say, stop being afraid about what could go wrong and start being excited about what could go right. And here's my Eeyore and Piglet. Sometimes when I get really negative, I start to feel like Eeyore. I just say, "Oh, it's an Eeyore day. Oh, I'm never gonna get anything done. I'm never gonna, you know the Eeyore voice, right? Everything is just so difficult and all that." And then we need to shift that to Piglet, who's excited about everything, right? Jumping around like, oh, what's going on? What could happen? Oh, this is great. And always, usually, you don't have to know the whole Zen or whatever of poo, but it's basically they're very opposite characters. And I guess I want to say, stop being afraid about what could go wrong and start thinking about what could go right with your writing, with your submissions, with anything you're planning to do with your work this year. That said, again, I'll say it. What is it about writers? I've worked with professional writers. I've worked with writers who have not been published as of yet, until now, up until now. And we have to remember that you can make a wish or you can make it happen. It's that simple. In other words, the energy you're putting into the wish, that's good. Wishes are good. I'm not saying they're not, but you can take that same energy and make something happen. And that is often the difference between sitting around and wondering what's going on, when am I going to be discovered, when is someone going to say yes, that sort of thing. By making it happen, you continue to submit, you continue to get the word out there. You continue to meet with other writers. Wisconsin Writers Association has many, many opportunities for writers to get together. Just even start there, online and then in person with our conference later on this year, which I'll mention later. But there are many opportunities where we can meet each other, and work together, certainly through critique groups and through some of the other events that we have planned online. Those are all places, jumping off points. So this year, make it happen. Yeah, the wish is good. Take that wish and make it happen. Um, I like to bring this to everyone's attention, which is reading obituaries. I know, I know that might be a little bit, but it's not. Joan Rivers, the late great Joan Rivers, used to joke about reading obituaries, saying that's how I meet new men, meaning whoever passed away while there were available men. All right, that's a joke. Um, but if we go on, you read obituaries to meet people I should have known about years ago, like Betty Reed Soskin. I think that's how you say it, Soskin perhaps, who after several lives worth of adventures retired at 100, not at 70 or 80, retired at 100 as the oldest National Park Service ranger. This is only from a couple weeks ago. So if you wanted to take a look at this, it's a very inspirational obituary. And I can say that reading obituaries can sometimes be very inspirational. Again, I know it's not the best time of someone's life, but it does summarize, and you can put together by reading their steps and their achievements, how they went from this to this to this to this. And sometimes that's inspirational. Sometimes something happened in their life that they didn't know they were going to be a best-selling author, or leading the local chapter of their reading group, or whatever it is. But reading the obituary helps us understand people's lives, and it sometimes can help us understand our lives because we obviously don't know where they are going sometimes. Okay, we'll do a prompt in a minute, but I want to also bring this to everyone's attention. And I hope I'm not sure. Yeah, we have some notes up there. That's good. We'll come back to those. Um, if we go to observing as a writer, so let me go through this and then we'll do our first prompt. All right. Miscellaneous pleasures, distractions, and sensorial delights. I love that sentence. Taking time to note something ordinary that is beautiful to you. This is you. Something that might be ordinary that's beautiful to you will be something very different to someone else. But the point is to be observant of it and take the time to just think about it, to be in that moment, to let it progress into something that gives you a feeling that might lead to an idea or add something to a character that you're writing, or a plot, a subplot that you're writing. In other words, mint ice cream. Do you like mint ice cream with chocolate chips or cookie crumbles? Whatever they might be. How about the color you see when you close your eyes? Think about that. Is there a color inside your eyelids? When you find a matching item to the silverware or a plate or a cup, the themes in a thrift store or at a garage sale, it's like, I have those plates. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get the mugs to match because they're only like $1 each. Little finds like that connect and are just neat little discoveries. How about when you discover that you have enough? And that's sometimes, and I mean enough of money, enough friends, enough of a good job, enough, whatever that means to you. But that moment that you discover you have enough. And some of us haven't reached that, and some of us have, but it's a moment to really stop and say, okay, I do have this. I'm grateful and move forward and realize it. And finally, when life gives you the third option, and the third option is, and I'd love to hear if any of you have had this experience, the third option can work with anything going on in life, such as I know the job I want, I know the job I don't want. Very clear about that and whatever those specifics are. And then as you're applying and interviewing and talking and meeting with mentors and such, you realize there's a third option. There's a whole other position over here that you never even knew existed. And it's suddenly, oh, I really like that. Third option can be when you apply to, I know I want to go to this college. I know I do not want to go to this type of college. And then suddenly you hear about this other institution that's offering more, everything and more than what you wanted. A personal example of this was for me a couple summers ago. There were three cabins to rent in a particular area, and cabin number one because had stayed there before and thought we had it, and at the last minute cabin number one was taken and we had to go to cabin number two, and we were a little bit okay. We got there and cabin number two was 1,000 times better than cabin number one. I mean, okay, that's kind of a, but but this third option, sometimes we can get really run down with I know what I want, I know what I don't want, and we just stay there and nothing moves. Being open to this third option can sometimes really, really open up your energy to receiving it, to being aware of it, to being part of making it happen. So I like to offer that because people will say, "Oh, I haven't found an agent up until now. I haven't been published up until now. I haven't been able to submit my work because it's just been too busy at work and my kids and okay, up until now." And that's where we are right now at the beginning of this year. We haven't been able to do something perhaps, or we've been doing something, but we want to do something different up until now. So let's change. Let's be open to this possibility. And you all know what that third option is. And as I said, it can happen, it can be work related, it can be personality related, it can be just certain whatever's happening. You want to choose a birthday present for someone. And you know what you want, you know you don't want, but then there's this, oh, they would really like this, and go from there. So, with that, let's start our first prompt. And it's just 5 minutes, but enough to take a moment here because I've been talking too much. So, I'll take a break and you can answer one or the other or both. The first one is you survived 2025. Give credit where credit is due. Who and what got you through the year? Describe briefly how they got you through the year. So, is there a person, a place, a thing, or persons, places, or things? Realize that, recognize that. And if that was good, hopefully it'll happen again. Or maybe you have had a third option situation. So take a bit of time. Um, when did you embrace that? So let's just do this quick. This will be just a 5 minute one, and we'll start now. So we'll come back 1 minute after the bottom of the hour. Okay, that was about 5 minutes. Does anyone want to share or give a shout out to the persons or places, things, or share a third option before we go on? Just,
Okay, Laurie,
yeah. Hi, Roger.
how you doing?
Good.
Yeah, in my case, this year was an event. Um, I had resisted placing my wife in memory care with she has Alzheimer's,
Mhm.
and I was trying to take care of her myself, and but the event happened when she fell backwards in a tub, and I couldn't get her out or help her out, and I realized that I had to do something, and so I was forced to make that decision, and in doing so, um, it's really changed my life because I've have more time to for myself, and uh, I'm less stressed, and I'm able to accomplish a lot more. So it was the event, not so much a person or a place, but something that happened to me that forced me to make a decision.
And she's in good care
Yeah.
and therefore, right. Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that. Absolutely, you're right. Okay, a person, place, a thing, or an event, and or event. Thank you. Anybody else want to share something? That's inspirational. Thank you, Roger. Anybody else have any want to thank somebody? Perhaps maybe someone from Wisconsin Writers Association? Because we have a lot of folks here. Yeah. Quiet bunch tonight.
I
Well, I could say something. I'm Peter
Yes.
from outside of Cambridge.
Yes.
Um, it's been my goal to get a novel published, and I didn't really start trying to achieve that goal until I was in my early 60s, and 60s are now gone. And I've had many rejections from agents, and they were probably every one of them was probably right. But in the process, I'm trying to get better at writing novels, trying to think of things that are more marketable. But my third option was short stories, and I
Ah,
started writing short stories to kind of exercise the writing muscles instead of just the revising muscles that happen with novels. And I've really come to enjoy it, and I've submitted a ton. And even though my acceptance rate is probably 4%, it's better than zero that I was getting with novels. So it's nice to know I have a few stories floating around in some printed publications and online, uh, including Creative Wisconsin, I'm happy to say. Uh,
wonderful.
so that was my third option, which when I read the third option, I kept thinking about the third rail, but I knew that's not what you meant.
Well, congratulations. And all of those can help you now when you continue to query agents and publishers because you've been published. Short stories or shorter pieces have been vetted by other editors and industry professionals, and that encourages agents and publishing professionals. We're all afraid to make that decision, but oh, if this particular literary magazine thinks this was a good piece of writing, let's look at this again. So each one of those smaller publications can help, no matter how small the publication. So congratulations on that. Short, baby steps, short steps. And you can also think about an anthology of your short stories. We've been working with a number of individuals within the critique groups over the last years, and anthologies have come together. One that I can give a shout out for later on this year, Pat Shekel will have an anthology published through WWA Press. So look for that. And they are fascinating short stories. So continue with that, and that's inspiration for the rest of us. So thank you. Thank you. All right, one other story anyone wants to share here before we move on?
Sure, I'll share my story.
Okay.
Um, I guess I found poetry, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago through mental health, some issues, and through therapy. I had a person that suggested journaling and things like that. Anyway, 2025, um, I was with a group out of Fond du Lac. I'm from Appleton. I joined a group out of Fond du Lac, the Wordsmiths. I don't know if
Ah,
anybody knows Jeff McAndrew. but Jeff is a leader of that, and we meet every month. And then another thing, my daughter created a web page for me to help share my words. And also, I think I had a submission accepted through the Wisconsin Writers Association in their magazine last year.
Great.
That also helped. I have a lot of trouble with self-esteem, and like you suggested before, and talking in front of people. Even it's hard for me to read poetry, but through all this stuff, like uh, went to the Lake Fly Writers Conference.
Yeah. Hmm.
Like I said, entered poems in journals and local events. We had a poetry walk in Appleton. I don't know if you ever heard of that one, but that was a real good event, and had a ekphrastic uh, poem writing contest at the local museum, which was fun. So just getting out and, like I said, I'm kind of new to poetry and writing, and I just retired last year, so I had to find something to do with my time. So yeah,
Well, it sounds, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
it's been fun. Like I
Yeah.
said, it was a good year.
Sounds like it's been very productive. And again, it's little, we think it's smaller, but it can lead to a lot more.
Yeah,
So that is wonderful. And congratulations on each one of those
thank
little
you.
achievements. Yeah. And I hope everyone's inspired by that. I know I am. And just don't give up. Don't give up. I know Tracy is here, Tracy Sheffield, TK Sheffield, and she says, you can submit something and you don't hear for like a year and a half and you kind of give up. And then you get this note that says, "Oh, you've been accepted." So we can't give up. We have to just it's out there. Let's get it out there and share it. And think of the people that are going to benefit from your poems and from your words. And that's for all of us. So thank you for sharing that. Good. Awesome. All right. So we're going to do one more quick prompt here and then continue with a little more, hopefully, inspiration. And this one, to speak about Tracy, TK, she said when she first read this, she thought it said the year of the hose. That's a very different year. But this is the horse, as Chinese philosophy and astrology and horoscopes always have a different animal for the year. And this symbolizes forward motion this year. And this starts on February 17th. They're about 6 weeks into the new year, the first new moon instead of the first of the year, the rest of the world. Um, Forward motion, less looking and more leaping. So we put the pedal to the metal. So let's take these small steps that you've all shared with us. Thank you. So I just want, and this is just a quick 3-minute one, list something or some things you've been waiting on to arrive that you could try galloping toward instead. So stop the waiting, go get it. Take just a couple minutes on this one, and we'll talk about it later. Okay, let's move on. You know what you need to gallop towards, and we can talk about it later if we want, but I do want to move forward and make sure we get some more information out. But before we do, Cassie, I want to thank you for sharing. You said that the third option when writing a short story, too long for a short story, not long enough for a novel, and now novelette. Wonderful, wonderful option. That's perfect example of discovering that moment in between there that can be ideal for what you need to do right now. Thanks, Tracy. Every kick is a boost, as Dolly Parton says, and screenwriting for Tracy has been it. That's great. And then fleshing out, uh, this is Dawn, fleshing out my Tara novel, Tara, I hope I'm saying that right, is at the top of the list. You just got to leap in, and that's a good way of looking at it. She's been waiting long enough to see the light of day. Your characters need to get out there, your plots need to get out there. And if you don't do it, No one else will. And Rebecca, hello. Haven't seen you and heard your name for a while, but hello, welcome. One way or the other, focus on the bigger history project beyond getting the novel published. That's wonderful. So, all good, all good. Thanks for sharing that. Let's move to just a couple more slides where we are talking about, and I see there's one more, getting back to work. Yes, Deborah, absolutely. Just getting back to work, and thank you for that segue. You saw my slide ahead of time, maybe. No. Because that's what I want to just mention here. What keeps you from your writing routine? Or your writing, just not even a routine yet. If writing's not on your calendar, you probably won't do it. So please put it on your calendar. I have become accustomed to, if I know I have to do something, I just put it randomly within the day, make sure I write that thank you note or whatever it might be, so that if I don't do that, I will completely forget whatever that task is, whatever the routine is, working out, whatever it is. So get in a habit of writing it down either on a calendar or a note for yourself. Maybe it's a audio note, whatever works for you. Um, Make a game plan and follow it through. No trying. If not now, when? Remember, there's Yoda Laurie here. There's no trying, there's only doing. If you drop a pen on the floor, you can either pick it up or not. That's it. You could you can pretend or try by just sort of, but you're not. You're going to either pick it up or you're not. So to say something like, I'll try to call you later, I mean, unless it's a situation where this just happened to me the other day. I was called for jury duty, and I didn't realize that once I was in the room waiting to be questioned, there was no internet, so I was unable to text someone. So yes, in that case, I tried, but I wasn't able to until I was out of that room. Those are rare occasions. I wanted to text. I I would have text. So get rid of the word try. Just do it. Just literally, I know it's an old slogan, but do it. Don't try. And you'll see how fast your life changes from the simplest things to, I'm not going to try to write 5 pages a day. I'm doing 5 pages a day. Whether that's going to be work that's going to be useful later, you're still writing. You're still sitting down, getting your butt in the chair and writing. That that's a wonderful thing. And you can find that, take that hour every day, half hour, whatever it is. Even if you write one sentence in that hour, it's still better than not taking the time to do it. And that's just the way it is. I would highly suggest this Publisher's Lunch, and it's just going to Publisher's Marketplace. And every day they will send you at free. It's free. You can subscribe for $25 a month if you are in the situation of querying and wanting to know the marketplace. But I would say mostly as you're writing, being aware of what is being sold, what the marketplace is. And this free newsletter comes out every day. And this helped me when I was querying. It took about 9 months to a year for my last book to be recognized by an agent, by a publisher. And each one of those days, I was receiving rejections, like we all have. I was sending out queries, I was receiving rejections, I was sending out queries. You know the story. But I would get to work, and midday I'd see this e-newsletter, and they would say 53 new deals since yesterday, or 150 new deals since yesterday. It might even be 15 new deals since yesterday. But each day it gave me this incentive. Okay, 53 other authors did get a yes, or they got that moment of let's move forward. And you know what? That's going to happen tomorrow to me. So it was this wonderful little bit of encouragement that helped me get through the querying process. And if anybody's in that or has experienced it, you know it can be a grueling time, but you have to keep doing it. Just like applying for jobs if you need a job, or applying to the college that you want to apply to. You have to keep doing it. Don't give up. So I highly encourage that as a daily bit of encouragement. Writing, rewriting, thinking about, sparkling. I love that. Processing, non-thinking. No matter what it is, schedule that time. As I just said before, days and hours, just sit there, get your butt in the chair. Maybe it's just something as simple as getting a second charger so you know that your phone is always charged or your computer is always charged, a new daily planner, maybe it's a new chair, something that's going to get you to continue with your writing routine. And I'd love to hear from some of you as to maybe some things that have helped you with your writing routine. Because I know it always feels like the closets need to be cleaned when I have to write. It's like, oh no, I have to go clean that closet right now. No, you need to be here writing. So I'm sharing that with everyone. The next thing, maybe there's some habits to think about. So, some suggestions: being present, root yourself in the present, your now, whatever that is. Maybe that's meditating, visualizing. Maybe it's journaling. I know the gentleman mentioned journaling. If you wanted to start with that and you hadn't been journaling, The Artist's Way, which is an amazing book by Julia Cameron, talks about morning pages. Waking up, you do the morning pages and you just write randomly, freely. It might not seem like much, but it gets your thoughts going, and it helps you move the movement of thinking thoughts to write. So that's a way to begin. There are many other ways to journal, but that's one very, very good resource. I know that's worked for pretty much everybody. Um, Affirmations, your own affirmations or the help of others. Um, Better sleep habits, better overall life. Writing can be cathartic, it can be healing, and embracing the joy of your writing. Yeah, it's sometimes difficult, but often when you finish those 5 pages or whatever it is, even the paragraph you've been working on for 3 days or weeks, and it's where you want it. It's such a wonderful moment when that happens. Um, so think about the habits, think about what you could do. Maybe it's a new, like I said, a new chair. Maybe it's a pillow on your chair. Maybe it's a new light. Whatever it is, what can help you get into the routine of writing in this new year as we are uh, continuing here. So that said, let's do our third and final writing prompt. And after this, we will continue discussion and open it up for Q&A. But I'd like you to think about, from what we've been saying and some of the shared stories, 3 goals for your writing this year, at least 3. You can have 30 if you want. And what are you going to take away from this session? So we'll go 5, 7 minutes or so, yeah, to the top of the hour, and then we can open it up and continue to discuss from there. So um, let's do that. Okay, thanks. I just want to share a couple of these before we move for Denise saying transforming her novel into a screenplay. Everyone who reads it says it should be on screen, and they're not her mother. While a published playwright, screenwriting is new, and Tracy confirms this. Check out the Wisconsin Screenwriters Symposium in April in Madison. Tracy, you can talk about that later if you're still here. I have a daily routine, very short. This is from Dawn. But since July, I've started scheduling a half-day retreat once a month, and it's made a huge difference. This is actually also very similar to the writers, the text, I said The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. She said you should take yourself out on a date, an artistic date once a month. So this is the same type of thing. Go to a museum, go to a new restaurant, go to a reading at a bookstore, some sort of artistic date and be inspired by other people's art. So that's wonderful. It does make a huge difference. Take the time. You might think it's taking away from your writing, but it's actually feeding your writing. And here, Roger, thanks again. I have a sign over my computer. Have you written 250 words today? That is a great daily goal. That's wonderful. Timed routine, again, Dawn. First thing in the morning, Monica, I got a sad light and I write and read for 30 minutes under the bright light every morning. Yes, that's wonderful. A meme on Facebook, you don't have to write every day to be a writer, but you do have to feel guilty when you don't. If that works for you, then that's terrific. And she does say LOL, so that's good. And Beth, read, read, read. Yes, it's true. Reading other people's words is definitely a good thing. Inspiration either way. Hey, I could do better than this. I could do, I could never do this, or whatever the case, but it's at least being exposed to another artist, another writer's words, and how they chose to write their characters, how they chose their plot, how they chose to tell their story. Also, a very, very, very big part of what you do with the material that you have. I know in our critique groups right now, we have an ongoing discussion, both fiction and nonfiction, about point of view first, whose point of view, and then first person, third person, combinations of that. And that's another discussion, but I want to say those are all things that are worthy of thinking about as you are composing, either before, during, or after. Sometimes you have to write a passage in first person and rewrite it in third person to see if it's slightly better or worse, or as a screenplay, as mentioned previously. So those are all options, but they are better than doing nothing. So, Deborah, again, actually write during the 3 daily Zoom writing groups that you participate in, which is wonderful. And here, Lisa, show up a minimum of Monday and Tuesday mornings, and you lead the Connect and Write sessions for the Driftless Writing Center. Those of you that may be in the area or know the area or want to attend, thank you for sharing this. Here are some links for both that and the Arts and Lit Lab on Thursdays and Sundays. So that's in the chat if anyone wants to take a look at those. I'm open for all resources. What might work for someone may not work for the other, but it's always good to at least check them out. And these are all on Zoom. Um, uh, Denise continues to mentor young writers via the Senior Network Writing Program. Get your latest book. Okay, you're sharing these. Thank you. Encourage writers to connect with each other through WWA, Wisconsin Sisters in Crime, and the Authors Guild. Thank you. I have that mentioned later. I can explain a little bit more. Writers need other writers to encourage us, inspire us, and support us. And I hope that's doing that this evening. I walk in nature. Thank you, Tim. Even if it's your backyard, which is nature. So thank you for those. Let's move on and hear Tracy's information about the Wisconsin Symposium, Screenwriters Symposium link that is happening later this spring. Anyone that wants to pursue screenwriting, this is a great local place to check it out. So I want to open it up. If anyone wants to share any more of those, what you plan to do, or you have questions, let's do this now for a few minutes. Oh, it's open. Anyone that wants to talk, just unmute and we'll go from there.
Well, my
Dawn?
three goals
Yep.
were easy to get down tonight because I've had them since the first of the year. that is number one was to finish book number four. I've got 17 chapters done with that. Number two is to write five more short stories this year. I have 20 done so far. Eventually, I want to do an anthology with those. And the third one is something that I been thinking about for a long time, and I've actually started on, is I'm putting together a presentation for seminars for authors that I've found or that will help them with book signing events and help them be a little more successful. I have had some really good well, I've got a lot of experience with uh, trade shows and that sort of thing. So I've had a lot of luck with some of the book signings I've had. I had one that I had 35 books with me and sold out in 2 hours. And
Wonderful.
but this is the type of thing I want to do is just pull that all together, make the presentation, and I want to have that done by the end of June, so that if anybody wants to do a seminar or something like that, that there's a lot of things that I see happening to other authors at book signings that they're making, the mistakes that they make, and also some of the things that make them successful at them. So. Those are my three things.
Well, Roger, if you could include if you want to share your email address in the chat, then folks can contact you. Would this also include, and just as the annual conference for WWA offers authors to rent a bit of a table and sell their books. So you're saying that also at events, I'm at other conferences too, in addition to bookstores and other types of events?
Yeah, I actually, and it's not, people have tunnel vision when it comes to signing books. I mean, it's either bookstores or libraries or events like the event, but they should open up a little more to things like, uh, uh, you know, uh, and I've been trying to think like a farmer's market as an example, or gift shows, or um, any, events, city events, in the park type of things. There's some, you know, there's not a lot of competition there. And people, there's people that go to those things are looking for something new, not just the normal get. And when they come across books and they get to meet the author, um, there's they get excited about that, and you can sell. Um, and I'm not saying that book signing events or book fairs or anything like that are bad. They're good because you get to meet other authors, and there are people coming to buy books. The only trouble is they have so much money that they can spend, and if there's 20 authors there, they're not going to buy 20 books or more than one book, a couple books from a particular author. So I guess what in my presentation, I'm going to talk about, it's just one of the factors there that talk about, expand your events, expand where you go and what you do, because you can be a lot more successful that way. So that's my third one, and I want to get that done, and then I'll be available to make those presentations by the fall.
Great, thank you. So if you want to share your email address, folks can reach you in the chat. And, community center, yes, libraries and bookstores, but community centers, historical, societies, any local places of gathering are all parts of this. And you're right. I mean, I love crystals, collecting gems and crystals, and a huge gem uh, show. And a guy was selling his books, both about gems and crystals, but also a novel that took place at a at this type of an event. So who would have thought? you know. But it's that kind of thing. And you're absolutely right. People are looking um, for inventive ways to sell their books and also places to find good writing. So thank you. Um, Anyone else want to share or have a question?
I have a question.
Yes.
So I sometimes we were talking earlier about like don't just try but do it and you make the time and I write it down, I get in my schedule, but then I feel like I need like a mantra, or I don't know if anyone has like a little tidbit that helps them actually stick to it. Like our washer machine needed maintenance, and I was like, I'm not going to schedule anything during my writing block. But of course, they're like, we have availability during that time. And I'm like, well, what about later in the afternoon? I'm trying to work around it, push it back as far as I can. And they're like, no, it's not available. And I needed to just say, well, let's do Friday. But instead, I'm like, yes, Tuesday would be better. But I also, and I feel like I just need like something that just says no. Like, how can I make it feel like it's not flexible when it sometimes feels flexible?
Yeah, anyone want to share? I mean, I can, but I've been talking all night here. Anyone have a good mantra that helps them?
Well, you said earlier, just do it, just stop and do it and try to put it aside. There again, it's just don't try to overdo it. Just do what the small things first and just get it done.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Anyone else?
I just, on that note, I don't know if it's far away from what you were saying, um, Cassie, but I just heard recently just kind of a little phrase from an author, and she was saying that to embrace the distractions, because I was finding, some, similar. I can relate to what you're saying, as being part of, your process, and so, and that seemed to kind of take some of the anxiety out of it for me, at any rate.
Okay.
Thank you, Helen. Tracy, are you here? Because you've always got good inspiration.
Yes,
Any
yes, I'm here.
Yeah, yeah. Anything for Cassie?
Yeah, Cassie, my suggestion, I put it in the chat, is stay flexible. We have to be flexible. If your primary writing time, like I write early, I'm up at 4 a.m. usually, and I write for 3, 4 hours. That's my pure writing time. And I know that sometimes if I'm too tired or if something's going to come up and I've got an early appointment, I know I'll get back to the page later and I'll use that time for editing because I know my brain isn't fresh, but I'll go back and edit and just spend time with that manuscript because my biggest fear isn't not writing, it's staying away from the manuscript too long because I have to go live in that world and edit that world and create that world. And as long as I'm visiting it 6 days a week, I feel good about it. I feel strong with it. So stay flexible.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. There's others that are confirming that those are tests. At least when that happens to me, I know it's a test okay, I know they can only come and fix the washing machine right now, and this is testing me to make sure that and yes, I need that done too, but then I've got to schedule, that next hour to do the writing. So to me, I look at it as embrace the distraction, embrace the test, and then still find the time to do it, to schedule when the writing should take place. So, if it is to be, it is up to me, which is Monica shared. So I've heard that one with many things that we need to create in our lives, but that's a good one too. So if it is to be, it is up to me. I'm the only one responsible for my writing, as we all are. So maybe that'll help.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate your input. Yeah, I think staying flexible, but then also that idea of almost like rescheduling it. Like, okay, that came up. Let me not just say, ah, bummer, dang it, but let me reschedule it. That time, making sure kind of make up for that time. Um,
Right. Right.
But I think if you do reschedule, and it's important to be flexible, but if you do reschedule, remember that you do have that schedule and that you can't keep rescheduling all the time. You got to stick with
Yeah.
it at some point.
Yeah.
Great. Great. Thank you for sharing. And, you know, make that change. Just be aware of it. And again, it's up until now, but you can make those changes. We can all make these changes. So, okay, maybe a couple more questions or observations that can help us all. I don't know what this Zoom thing is that it keeps going in and out. Every time I move, it moves. Anyway, anybody else? Question or comment? Just jump in. No, you're all being quiet. Um, okay, Dawn has a question. With a short story anthology, they all be the same genre and style? I write like I read, bouncing genres and styles all over the place. I wasn't sure how that would work in a collection. There's no one way, there's no one answer to that. What is most important is that there's a thread of some sort. In an anthology, there needs to be some kind of overall thread between the stories. You can randomly just publish 12 stories or 20 stories, but it's going to be richer, more nutritious if you weave them together. In other words, it's kind of like the old Twilight Zone. Each episode had a moral, right? Each episode had something to say about society. If there's something about a topic that you want to emphasize, each short story would be a thread tying them together. Sometimes that can be enough to keep that anthology together, or a topic. These are all stories that take place in a specific place or during a specific time or in a specific time in life. Maybe they're all stories about coming of age or the first week at college, that sort of thing. So you can bounce around and do different genres. I'm not saying that isn't possible, but it will make it a little easier for readers to understand and for you to be querying it to agents and publishers if you say these are stories about um, the human condition, whatever that is. That's really general, but it would help for you to narrow that down a little bit if your stories lend themselves to that. Good question. All right. Anything else? And otherwise, I'll move on. No other questions? No
Yeah, I've got
other.
one.
Yes, yes.
Um, in today's world, seems like there's a lot of online or whatever you want to call it, publishing.
Mhm.
Um, how do you get? I have nothing published. I'd like to put a chat book together, but um, how do you get a hold of somebody to review it and say, hey, yeah, this is worth publishing, or and uh, and my skills on pasting and all that stuff, putting stuff together, and I was a factory worker, maintenance mechanic all my life, so my computer skills aren't up there as far as as that concerned. And
Right.
uh, but like I said, where do you find someone you can work with one on one or personally, or uh, is
Well,
there?
this is if you want to self-publish. There are many, many companies that will do that. You pay them to do what you're saying, putting a book together, the actual book, the ISBN number, the cover, the acknowledgments, that sort of thing. So you can hire a company to do that. If you yourself want to just post and I don't mean just, it's another opportunity to post your work online, just put it online. You can do that through Amazon. And the best thing to do there would be to have a developmental edit, have someone do an edit on it to make sure that the grammar is correct, the spelling is correct, that everything is intact before you post it. If you yourself just want to post it online, you can do that. or seek out these companies. And there are many of them, and they will each have their own menus of what they offer for the X amount of money. And then most of them will meet with you for a free consultation and let you know what they offer for X amount of money. So those are a couple ways to go. That this could be an entire seminar of how to promote, how to publish. But that's a place to start. The first thing is make sure your work is edited by a professional, by an industry professional. And there are many resources through WWA that can help you with that. If you,
My my
yeah,
daughter did. She's a graphic designer, and she did put a web page together for me. And I probably got 30 or 40 poems on there already. But like I said, how do you get something in print though?
yeah,
That's
I wouldn't publish all of your work online because you'll never get that published now.
yeah.
Take some of those down. You don't want to put everything online because
Okay.
once it's online, it's considered published.
Okay.
Okay, so excerpts or one or two, but not everything. Because when you do go, even with the publishers that you pay, they are going to say they're already published. We can't publish those.
Okay.
Okay. So that's a place to begin. Okay. Naomi, I'm sorry. I mispronounced your name. Question. Just unmute yourself,
I'm
please.
sorry, I didn't realize that was, um, I didn't mean for my hand to be up. I don't know
Oh,
how, I don't know how it got up, lowered.
okay. Well, hello.
Hello.
Um,
Was that Tim? Um, like Lulu.com, you can just put your book up on that and sell it off of that. I would
yeah.
check that out. But Lori suggested finding a developmental editor, and I think that's very important.
Yeah. Thank you. And Substack is a great place to start right now. Also, finding authors who write in your genre. I know that I've worked with a author who has written her first women's fiction book. It is I don't want to, this is going to sound bad, but it is a regular, ordinary women's fiction book. Okay. And I mean that in a good way, in that there isn't anything really that different or special. It's written really well. It's a terrific story. She went on Substack, and the first day she found somewhere between 150 to 200 followers. And from there, she's been building, and she's self-published by just beginning and talking about women's fiction or stories about women. So Substack has some really good success stories, and you can start there to kind of see if there's an audience out there. And right now, that's the favorite place to get your work if you're not published entirely yet. Uh, and I want to say thank you here also to Tracy. Finding good editors is the key. Yes, I would have to agree with that. So, yeah, thanks, Dawn. Fantastic community. So, if you know my past, you know that I love to promote success stories. Back at the old Writers Institute, we actually had a success story event where people would stand up and talk about their published works or whatever their success was that year. Get your butt in the chair and write. So keep writing forward. Our writing community needs and wants more success stories. Every time I hear, and remember, a success story can be finishing your first draft. It doesn't necessarily mean publishing, although that's wonderful. A success story can be finishing your third draft. It can be writing the screenplay adaptation. It can be whatever that success looks like to you. But I hope that what we've talked about here this evening leads you to your success, your definition of success for your project or projects right now. That's what's most important. And moving forward from there. So I just have a couple, and this is random. Obviously, WWA is a great resource. Make sure you go to the website. There's a lot of there's other events happening. There's places where you can get help with publishing questions. There's beta readers where you can get information about beta readers, et cetera, et cetera. So take a look at that. Novel book camp and retreat, right on door count. Again, these are just random. The Authors Guild, who someone mentioned earlier, it is a fantastic organization, and I would highly recommend them for just about everyone, especially if you're at a point where you have a contract from an agent or a publisher. Just by joining the Authors Guild, you will have free access to free, limited, but free legal advice. They'll look at that contract, and that is worth what you're paying to join it, which is about $125 a year, something like that. But they also have wonderful webinars and seminars also. Jane Friedman is always the resource, and I can't recommend her enough. This is my email. If there's something that I've said and you want to follow up, please let me know. Tracy has a question or some information for us, which would be great.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Laurie. This is just always just so wonderful. Thank you for doing this, and we just adore you, and your classes are great. Couple of
Thank
things I want to say. The Espresso Cafe, for those of you who are, working toward publishing a novel, the next two Espresso Cafes taking place on Saturday, this Saturday, and then the 7th of February, I'm talking with bookstore owners, indie bookstore owners. So Thirst Romance Bookstore, and then Lakeside Books in Lake Geneva will be in February. So, you cannot be too early in learning how to work with bookstores. And then the other thing is the Jade Ring contest. For those of you talking about poetry, short stories, beginnings of your novels, the Jade Ring contest will be starting in March. So polish up those submissions and get ready to submit there. And then also, if you notice, if you look on the website, the fall conference location and dates were announced on there. So check it out. It's coming up it'll be in October. So check out the website to find out details about the fall conference. And I hope to see you at Espresso Cafe on Saturday.
Thanks, Tracy. So yes, our critique groups continue, and they have been just going great. The Jade Ring, which will be announced in March, the annual conference in Manitowoc, October 23rd, 24th, and all the other opportunities. The fourth season of Midwest Writing Room podcast. Ken and Luella do an amazing job. This is a place to meet all of your fellow writers from the Midwest. It's just terrific and also inspirational. And as Tracy said, Whispresso Cafe, February 7th. So the next one is it this Saturday?
We have one coming up this Saturday. Yes, that's with Carrie of Thirst Bookstore, the romance bookstore in Milwaukee. And then February 7th will be Lakeside Book with Alicia.
Right. And so monthly also. So, and that's Zoom, that's online. That's a great place to meet other writers because you're just talking one-on-one, or you can listen, that's fine too. You can contact Wisconsin writers through hello@write.org. And again, my website. I just want to end with manifest it. It's already yours. So we'll leave with that thought. It might be a little too woo-woo or new age, but I really do believe it. We make our reality happen. Remember, you can make a wish or you can make it happen. So I hope this has inspired all of you, some of you, one of you. And again, thank you all. And I guess my time is up. And I just want to say contact either WWA or myself if there's something that was said that you want to follow up on, and we will go from there. So I want to say have a great year. I want to see success stories. I want to hear about them. Let's all just keep moving forward and keep writing forward. So thank you all. And I'll say good evening.